Hi, welcome to this webinar. So we do this webinar once a week and it's actually answering technical questions that have come in during the week. So in a minute, I'm actually going to go through some procedures for measuring all sorts of, let's say, different sample types. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab hold of some chili sauce. It's slightly unknown to me, this chili sauce, in terms of its hotness. Though I can tell you, I can sort of, you can effectively, I don't want to say feel the spiciness, but it's pretty intense. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just try and get 100 microliters up into this pipette tip. Yeah, good. All right, that is good. All right, I've got 100 microliters up into this pipette tip. I can already tell by the sort of tingliness in my nose, let's say, that actually this is quite hot. So I've just put that into there for now. If things are viscous, then it's harder to pipette, and at that point then you can also weigh out as well. But I have managed to get 100 microliters actually into that. So I know I'm jumping in quite quickly, but I'm using this to really, rather than answering the question all the time, well, what's the standard operating procedure for running that sample? Why don't we just actually do a demonstration? So I'm going to do a bit more now. So I've got 100 microliters here. Now I add one of those. That's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, yep, 900 in fact, yeah. So that's because I had 100 microliters of sample and I just added 900 microliters of buffer. You can kind of get a sense of that in this tube here. What I want to do is I might as well just take that out of the way, to be honest with you. I don't super need that now. I just want to kind of bring into shot slightly that I do have a vortexer here. This is something that I have changed over the last couple of years, that we often use a vortexer. It's just you can never, let's say, shake this sample the way you can vortex it. So if I want to get a kind of consistency these days, I actually use a vortexer quite a lot to actually prepare these samples. So that's vortexing away there quite nicely. Right, I'll put that down. I'll take the vortexer out. I'll be using that vortexer a little bit more in this today, but just know it's just off to the side there, and I'll be reaching out and actually doing it. Next thing I'm going to do is, what I did is I took 100 microliters of the sample, and then I added 900 microliters of the buffer. And my next thing I'm going to actually do is add 50 microliters of the sample to the sensor. I'm just going to give this a name actually so I can find it. So this is called SR. So it's an unknown sample that somebody sent to me, so I'm just going to test it. SR. I'm going to call this SR10 because I really don't know anything about it at the moment. I'll call that 1. I'll call that 3. It's a bit more distinctive. I'm going to call this, I'll put this into a certain cluster called demo. This will allow me to find it later on. So I'm more or less ready to go. I'll just take the 50 microliters of this sample, put it onto the sensor, which I now do. There we go. All right, 50 microliters on. Now don't be surprised if this gives me some further instructions, because I can I can tell it's quite hot. Make sure I choose the 1 in 10 dilution, because that's what I did. I hit start measurement and effectively off it goes at this point now. It's going to go and grab that. I can see immediately. So you see that there is immediately telling me that this is going to be quite intense. I could sort of say it's definitely going to be hot, and I'm going to get some instructions from the app to actually process the data anymore. Yeah, so I've got the instructions now. It says upload complete, so it's sent it to the cloud. It says too high, dilute more. That's absolutely fine. So I'll take the sensor out. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm doing a bunch of serial dilutions because this is an unknown sample to me. So I can't make an assumption about its hotness. But what I'm now going to do is I've got that 1 in 10 dilution here. I'm going to grab a, by the way, I use a lot of clean pipette tips when I'm doing this kind of work. I've got the one in 100. I'll open it up. I'll take 100 microliters of that. What I'll do is I'm just going to put that back in there for a second, because what I want to do, I'm just going to vortex it, just make sure it's nice and homogeneous before I take the sample, because it will start settling and stuff. So I'm just going to give it a quick vortex, only 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Okay, cool. Now I'll take the 100 microliters from there, which I will do. Make sure, yeah, 100 microliters. Right, so now I've got 100 microliters here. I'll put it into a clean tube, which I've done there. I'm now going to get 100 microliters of buffer. I'm actually going to put 900 microliters of buffer in here. So I'll just put 9 of these in there quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. All right, so that's now effectively, it's gone from 1 in 10 to a 1 in 100 dilution. I'll just vortex this really quickly. Okay, so now I've vortexed that up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw away a couple of pipette tips, because I want to make sure that I'm always using clean pipette tips. It just stops with cross-contamination, etc. So now I've got that. I'm just going to set this up. I'll just go testing. I'll call this 100, because that will help me identify it in a bit. That's good. Continue. I'll make sure I choose 100 here, which I've done. Now I'll put the sample on, because this is a 1 in 100 dilution. Alright, so that's the 1 in 100 dilution. Now let's go start. Right, so off it goes. Oh, there we go. I can see already that's intense again, so it's still intense. So there's still a lot of capsaicin in this. Now I'm not expecting you to. I'll get some instruction in a minute off the app, which I was kind of not surprised by when I saw the raw data coming. It says upload complete, too high, dilute to more. So this is an improvement over, let's say, previous versions of this technology, that actually it guides you a lot more than previously. So what I'll do now is I'll put a clean sensor on there. I will grab 100 microliters. I keep throwing away pipette tips because just, you know, otherwise you're kind of going to get contamination between these different sample or different concentrations. Right, so I've got my 1 in 100. I'll take 100 microliters of that. So I'll do that now. Then I'll put that into there. Now I'm going to get 900 microliters into there and bring 1 in 100 dilution to 1 in 1000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, at this point, it's almost barely worth vortexing, because you can see it's mostly, you know, very kind of liquidy, and, you know, the suspension's been very diluted. But I will give it a quick vortex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so now I've given that a quick vortex. That'll be pretty homogeneous. I'll take 50 microliters of that sample. I'm just going to change the name in here to help me locate the data later on. So I'll call that 1 in 1000. Come back. Right, okay, so I've got 1 in 1000. I've got the sample prepared here. I will take the sample. I'll put it on the sensor, which I've done. I will go continue. Make sure I choose the 1 in 1000 dilution, because that's what I've done. I will start measurement, and essentially off it goes. Now, I'm glad to see it's not quite as intense now. Good, because all those dilutions have actually worked, and it's definitely not as intense as it was. That's good. All right, so I've got a final result here of 71,400 Scoville heat units. Now let me show you the story on this. This is really the beauty of this system. So FoodSense Generation 4, this is really a 2025 technology. Really, I mean, you know, I'm super biased, but you know, it's really excellent piece of technology. I'm just doing a quick refresh here because I can kind of, if you're the quality manager at a company and you know, you kind of, you want to have confidence in what people are doing, or you know, get a sense of it. So the first thing it did is I did a 1 in 10 dilution. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that 1 in 10 dilution. And I was guided by the app. It was the app that guided me. But, you know, I can come in here and I can say, wow, what happened there? You know, and the app said to me it's too high. And it is too high. I can see it's very flat here. In fact, I got a massively intense signal here. Fine. But, you know, the app guided me. And then we took that sample and I did a 1 in 100 dilution, which I've also got here. Have a quick look at the 1 in 100 dilution. Still a massive amount of signal. That's actually slightly smaller than before, but it's still massive amounts of signal. And then the app, because the app knows that, you know, that was too much signal here, it's told me to go to a 1 in 1000 dilution. So I then did a 1 in 1000 dilution. It's unusual enough to kind of have to do these 1 in 1000 dilutions, but with these hot sauces, and then you can see now that we really have diluted the signal down a lot, and that's 71,360 Scoville heat units. The app has actually rounded up to 71,400 Scoville heat units, but you can appreciate at those kind of concentrations. So that was a quick way of doing, let's say, the assay. I did the sample prep, and I did the and the actual test as well. I should hold it this way. And you also saw I could go through and actually see all the data. So there's no doubt about, let's say, the data. I also want to say, actually, just FYI, if you are the quality manager in a particular company, or any kind of company really, you can actually download these things as well. So I can just kind of do that quick. I'll export it as a PDF. And it's exporting it as a PDF, and then you'll actually get a in fact it's doing it twice because I clicked it twice, but anyway, I'll open that one, and there we are. I will have a report then in a PDF format of actually what we did. You don't need to do that because it will always be saved up into the database, but if it helps you in some way, you know, with your quality records, then you have the results saved here, you have all the raw signal saved here, so that can be useful. Now, as I say, if you're interested in this, you can contact us here. I'm going to go back now to my actual slides. So today's the 16th of February 2025. I thought it was just as easy to do a demo as it was to necessarily talk about it. When I was using that Julie, I was using the Julie system quite a lot. That when I was using this app, it often said actually upload complete. Now, if you have the FoodSense Generation 4, you automatically have Julie for a year on it. You can still use the system without Julie, but Julie's really kind of nice because I can see the data. I can sort of dig into the data and find out a little bit more what's going on. So you get the results on the phone with a premium account. If you don't have Julie, if you're just on a premium account, you can get results only on your phone. You can export features, you can report features, you can look at the raw signal, you can look at saved values, you can do what's called comparison reports. You can actually go and check what dilution was used. So there's a lot of good advantages. You can see the time at which the assay was done, the date which the assay was done, who did it, really important. And also, let's say, remote access. So somebody's down in a factory floor in a quality lab and you're at home, you can still get in there and see that data. So it's pretty, let's say, cool. And also you can add photos as well of the sample, etc. Now what I want to do now at this point is just go to back to here, which I'm trying to do. Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. Right, so you saw me test the sauce earlier on. You saw me take 100 microliters of the sauce and add 900 microliters of the chili pot buffer. We've never changed this buffer over the years. It's actually stayed the same buffer. We have definitely not changed it over the years. and we mix the two things together by vortexing. That may be something that has changed a little bit over the years, that we put more emphasis these days on using a vortexer. The vortexer I'm using, for example, costs something like $100. It doesn't really matter, but it's called an OmniLab MX. I'll just change cameras for a second. This is something that we're using a lot more of these days. So there's the vortexer that I'm actually using, an OmniLab MXS. It's just a small lab one. Many labs do actually have them, but it just kind of means that we get a more, let's say, consistent or faster, more efficient mixing. So I do use the vortex a lot more. You saw me use it on the Sense It All app. Sense It All app is available on the App Store and also on the Google Play Store. You saw me insert those sensors. Those sensors are really easy to insert, so I'm really sorry, but how easy that is. I mean, you take the sensor, you place it into that, you click that shut, he says, and it makes electrical contact, and you're essentially good to go. Just want to change screens again. So insert the sensor, transfer 50 microliters of the sample on. I need to put a space into there to the electrodes, so I need to just put a space in there, but it's 50 microliters. Ensure all the electrode area is covered with the sample. I must say this really is in the manual, so there's really, it is clearly played out to the manual. I'm just going to grab the manual just really quickly actually. I think there's a pretty excellent manual that comes with this actually. The manual doesn't talk about sample prep as much, it just talks about actually running the instrument. But I don't want people to think that, the manual that comes with it is pretty clearly laid out. Talks about disclaimers, etc. Talks about where to get the app from. Talks about turning the unit on. Talks about how to run the app, how to scan the QR codes. How to sort of choose the dilutions, but then at the end here it absolutely tells you where to put the sample on, so no excuses. It absolutely tells you where to put the sample on. So there is a good manual that comes with it as well, but we're talking about sample prep a little bit more tonight. So I've got the manual out just quickly just to say there really is a photo in there, and you just saw me do it on a video anyway about how to put the sample onto there. It says here you use the pipette to spread the sample if necessary. I often find it's not necessary to use the pipette to spread it. It just 50 microliters is chosen because it covers the sensor really quite well. And then you just run the app and you get the result. And don't forget, there's something that's different these days is the result actually gets saved to the cloud as well. And everyone who's bought a FoodSense Generation 4, you get a 1-year premium account to Julie anyway. I'm just going to slightly turn this off just to kind of uncover that. I definitely have videos on our website about how to prepare chilies. So it says here take a handful of chilies, but I definitely have videos about this. And when it says blend, I just want to go and show you what I actually use to blend. I think industrial sites would have better blenders than me, but I have a sort of essentially a little hand blending unit, and I can just, in fact it's not plugged in at the moment, but it's pretty good at cutting and chopping. I have videos on this just out of interest. I think the manufacturer is called Ninja, and that might help you kind of understand what I'm actually using, but it's just a kind of domestic kitchen type blender. So we're not so much chopping by hand, we're definitely chopping by using a blender, and I definitely have videos on the YouTube channel where I'm chopping those whole chilies using that particular blender. So you blend until you get to a fine pulp. Now I say here transfer 0.1 grams. You understand one thing. If you do 1 gram into 9 mils of buffer, you will end up being more accurate. It's easier to weigh out 1 gram and add it to a volume of 9 milliliters than it is to weigh out 0.1 grams and add it to a volume of 0.9 milliliters. But at the same time, you know, we want people to be able to kind of get as far as they can with the buffer. You know, there's 500 mils of buffer here. So I do want people to kind of, you know, get a good efficiency out of it. So the protocol that I'm describing here, you can appreciate, you know, you can get something like 500 experiments done that way with 500 mils of buffer. So that's what I'm trying to help people by diminishing the amount of material they actually need to run the assay. It is a good idea to vortex it. I definitely showed you that I have a vortexer. This is something that I'm using a lot more these days than I originally used to use, but I do use it quite a bit. I just think it leads to more consistent and therefore precise results. So we are using the vortexer a lot more these days. Again, it's just 50 microliters onto the sensor. That 50 microliters is definitely called out in the manual. So at this point then the manual can kind of take over because you've prepared the sample. So I'm really, in these little slides, focused on the sample prep, but it definitely says in the manual, you know, how to add the 50 microliters onto the sensor. So no excuses, I would suggest. Right. So that's how to do chilies and peppers. Flakes and seeds are pretty well the same way. I mean, I'm saying here weigh out 0.1 grams. Again, I'm just trying to help people preserve material. You could be more accurate by doing 1 gram and 9 mils of buffer. But, you know, this is just a strategy for helping to preserve material. Again, I'm vortexing. I'm putting 50 microliters onto the sensor and I'm running it. So it's, you know, it's all pretty the same. The same with this, 0.1 grams, 0.9 mils of buffer, vortex it, run it on the app, 50 microliters onto the sensor, and then you're good to go. I might as well just do a sort of final demonstration. Now, what I demonstrated earlier on was a particular chili sauce. It's unknown to me, but it was quite intense. I think we got an answer about 74,000. I'm just going to do a quick test on this oil, in fact. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a chili oil in front of me. So there it is. I'm going to grab 100 microliters of this oil. So let me do that. Hello, there we are, 100 microliters of the oil. And I will take 100 microliters of the oil, which I have done. So I'm going to put the 100 microliters in like that. So there it is in the tube. I'm just going to grab, actually there's been a bit left behind. Right, now I'm going to grab 900 microliters. Note the way I just keep taking, you know, I am putting clean pipette tips onto this. I've really found that this is quite important actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, good. Okay, I've got 9 of those in there. Right, I'm going to close that lid off. I'm just going to get the app going again. I just want to take a screenshot of that last result as well. That it was 71,400. Obviously, I was actually anyway. Right, so I've got the oil. So this is always interesting. Look at the way the oil sits in the bottom like that. That's kind of cool. Whoops, daisy. And I'm going to vortex it. So I'm just going to, and then I'll show you. I mean, I've got this written down as an SOP in the slides in a minute, but I'll just give it a quick vortex. There's no way you can shake it like this. You know, the vortex is just fantastic. And in fact, yeah, not bad actually. And I just like the way that, you know, when vortexing it, you really kind of form this kind of emulsion. So you can really convince yourself that, you know, you are going to be able to extract that capsaicin. Right. Okay, good. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to flick that sensor out. I mean, if anyone's dealt with our Generation 3 products as well, they'll find that, you know, all of this is just so much more elegant as well. I'm careful not to be, I'm not touching there because I don't want to put any capsaicin off my hands onto that sensor. Close that. Again, I'll grab a clean pipette tip. There's my sample. It soon starts trying to separate, so I'll just give it a quick vortex again. Right, I've got it. Okay, dokes. Now I'm going to take that sample, take it up into the pipette, put it down onto the sensor. In fact, I wish I'd named that quickly in the app, but let me just go and do this quick. Right, I've got the app open here. I'll go done. I'll just go chili oil 100. I've written 200 there. 100. I'll just put 1 so I can find it. I think we're good to go. Chili oil. Actually, I want to put 10 because I realize I've only done a 1 in 10 dilution. Okay, that will do. Continue. Make sure I choose the 1 in 10, which I have, and I should be good to go. Right, off it goes. Just looking to see how intense it is, but it's not particularly intense. So we'll see it'll probably be okay. Let's have a quick look. So it's analyzing the data. It will give me a result and hopefully send the result to the cloud. Not hopefully, and send the result to the cloud to me as well. So while it completes that, let me just do a quick showing of what I actually did. So I took 0.1 microliters of the sample, and I added 0.9 milliliters of the buffer to the tube, and I vortexed it. It says here for several minutes. Maybe I should have vortexed it for several. Well, no, I didn't vortex it for several minutes. I then ran it, and then I put 50 microliters onto the electrode, and then ran that. And then with that, I suppose I've sort of shown you the preparation of 2 samples, a very hot sauce, which is called SR, which I was doing as a sort of favor for someone, and also a chili oil as well. So I want to say, if you've got any questions regarding FoodSense Generation 4, don't hesitate to contact us. You've got our contact details here, and we hope that helps. Okay, thanks very much.